all set.
Okay. We have a meeting starting. Dick Martin is here to join with us. I'd like to start by calling the roll call. Heidi, you want to announce your name, please?
Heidi Rieger.
Will Rodebush here.
And John Sampen. We anticipate that Christina Tracy will be here soon, and Jeff is not available today for this meeting. Okay, next meeting is, on my agenda, looks like it's April 23rd. Do we see any complications for that date? Four o'clock, I'm fine with that. Heidi, does that look possible?
Pick the right date.
Yep.
Okay,
Probably.
so we'll assume that will work. We were just having a back corner discussion about the proposal from Ron Gargas to name the Bowling Green Country Club as a historic site. And there's some concern about the implications that might be for how we recognize and how we would take care of any future problems, such as regulating that space. It's city space, but we are a bit concerned about how that might play out. Heidi, I don't know if you've had a chance to think about that or not. Will was weighing in.
With the golf course thing?
Yeah.
Yep. I have no idea. I don't have any ideas.
One suggestion that I have is to help them celebrate the 100th year. We certainly can make an announcement, and we could have a month, one of our, instead of buildings of the month, a property of the month. I don't know if we can change our calendar right away, but sometime during the year or maybe in the summer. So what I would do, I will draft a message to Ron and just explain our hesitation, but our desire to be celebrating with them, and see if that maybe would be agreeable.
Now, Heather had suggested maybe looking at the Secretary of Interior's guide to see how they might designate historic sites or whether they're just recognized. And because I think the issue we were talking about was when things get designated, I think we want to watch any kind of restrictions on sites.
Right. Okay, so we'll continue thinking about that, and I'll draft a message that I'll share with everyone before I send it. I don't think there is an update, as far as I know, in the South Main School. Nobody has received anything. Jeff House was kind of working on that. BG Song has, the city organization has offered to go into partnership in helping preserve the old hospital building on West, as owned by Miss Miller, and I don't know where that has gone at this point. I think it's still being talked about. Anissa Miller is the new owner of that space. I'm assuming again there's no new information, right?
No.
Okay. We do have a request from Jean Ladd on Buttonwood. I believe this came to Heather, asking if we could help prepare a designation for that property, 503 Buttonwood. Is that correct, Heather?
Correct, yes.
What was the address?
The address is 503 Buttonwood. And I'm wondering if, Will, if you or Heidi might be willing to help her prepare that paperwork. She was concerned about the architectural design of the building and how to fill that out. I think I'm saying that correctly.
Correct. She also had very little history on her home and just wanted some assistance getting that started. And yeah, I just think she was really concerned about her home being designated in the future as she plans ahead. And I didn't talk to her, but she was in the office and talked to our staff and just looking for any assistance that we could provide. I think that building inventory can be a bit daunting to people just starting out. We did show her on our website, and she came in with the paper. She went to the library first, and the library sent her here to start that designation. So again, just a kind of it would help us with the time-consuming part of helping to research for her, and then the architecture. I know we've helped Nina get her started on Court Street because she wasn't sure either. So.
And we might, maybe Dick Martin had some information about that home.
I don't, but you can probably find some. Look through the deed records on some other homes, and I can't get a picture of that. I don't know, you asked if I knew Jean, I don't know that I do. Was she a teacher or? Okay. The name's familiar, but I don't know her.
Okay, are you, we did not designate a secretary for today. Were you taking minutes?
No, I was writing down.
Well, Jeff said he would do them by watching the recording of the meeting.
Okay.
I'm taking notes too, just to kind of fill in what I can.
Great.
I was thinking on the building inventory that I was going to tell Heidi that I could do the first draft, from the standard that we did, like Needle Hall, and we did.
So both of you would work on
Well,
that?
I can start it and then get it to Heather, and
Would that be
Okay.
agreeable?
Sure.
I don't know that she knew that it existed. There's a document Chris Moen created that we used to go through the materials and the roofing.
Right.
Okay.
So we need to share that with Heidi too. You have a copy
Yeah,
of it?
with Heidi.
So
yeah.
we have it on our website under the Historic Preservation Commission. There is a blank form, and then there is an example of one filled out. So we thought that would be helpful to people.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Interpretive signage project with the CLG grant. We are continuing to move forward. We're getting closer. Every time I think we're getting really close, we get some more edits. Marnie from the Public Library, the Wood County Library, had quite a few suggestions, and Heather's just announced that we received today, I think, from the state a few edits, which I think will, though theirs are not going to be a huge problem to fix, just a word or two or a clarification of a site. Did you get that message yet? Okay. I just glanced at it earlier. But Heather was suggesting, and I think it's probably a good idea, that we schedule another meeting. I can recommend a date or a time. I don't know if we want to deal with that right now. Heather, what do you think? Shall we try to find a day?
I think we'll just email that sign subcommittee and
Okay.
go from there.
All right, I'll send out a message. We have been meeting frequently on Fridays early morning, 8:30, and there's been a lot of great work from that subcommittee, and I really appreciate their dedication and interest in making this correct. We continue to find dates that don't match up. Somebody knows something that we don't know, and we want to get it as close as we can. I'm sure as soon as it goes up on the streets, we're going to find a lot more complaints from people saying that we have the wrong information. But we've been pretty deliberate and careful in this process so far, and I don't know how we can be much more so. Heather's had some other information coming back and forth from the B Sign Group. Any recent commentary from them? Any concerns?
Nope, everything's in our court to review and hopefully provide the next and last round of edits is my hope.
Mine too. We were planning to start production of the signs this month. This month is almost gone. So we're hoping we can finish that up soon. Perhaps we can either get a meeting later this week or early next week and make those final edits.
And I am supposed to meet with the courthouse. Well, I have a phone call because we weren't sure about those locations yet for signs. So I had created that locational map giving a general idea of where we're going to place the signs. And they wanted to talk to me further about that. So that's another thing that we'll have to figure that out before we do another walk downtown for the installation and figure out a date. So we'll keep inching along, hopefully pretty quick.
Okay. Also, Heather, you had some concern about the drawing of historic downtown map because it doesn't match up with what I think what the drawing from 1984, is that correct, with the
1980. So when I pulled out the nomination form and went to create a map for the sign, because we added a map for the Boomtown district and then the Main Street district, and I looked at the nomination, tried to draw it, and it doesn't exactly match. And so I had asked the state if they had a copy of the map, and that turned into a conversation of, well, it's probably time that you resurvey your downtown for the National Register, because it is from 1980. So hopefully I didn't open up too big of a can of worms there, but they are right. I mean, we do probably have buildings now that are non-contributing that were contributing, or vice versa. I think there's some buildings not on the National Register as part of Main Street that probably should be. I'm certain this wouldn't be a priority at this point in time for the group since we have a lot of projects going on, but it did open up that conversation of you probably need to get that done at some point. So I was kind of left with, I'm not certain how to draw the map besides maybe use the one that's in the nomination. It just doesn't line up exactly with what the buildings look like now in a couple areas. So it's not like it's the whole map, it's really just a portion on South Main Street and then a portion along kind of behind the Milliken, crossing north to Wooster that don't really line up exactly. And it also doesn't include the entire buildings on the east side of Main Street. The entire building meaning it's only so many feet of a building and it kind of just cuts them all in half. It's kind of strange how they drew it. But, you know, mapping was probably not as concise as it is now.
Yeah, any suggestions on how we might deal with that, or do we just not do a map for the downtown? We're talking about just a sketch of the design of that historic area and the streets that it involves.
I mean, other than just finding the most accurate one, I guess.
I don't think there is
One
most
none are
accurate.
accurate.
So are you saying like the physical map doesn't line, like if you overlaid it on top of like a Google map, it doesn't line up, or it's just the buildings?
It's hard to describe without showing you, but basically the nomination shows the boundary going straight across South Main Street.
Oh, okay.
If you can imagine the parking lot where the current flower shop is, it shows a straight line going across the street to the next building. But how it's described as the addresses in the 190s. The address of the 190s actually jump down one building north of, that's Clough. So it really probably should zigzag the way it was described. Now, maybe the addresses aren't the same, but if you look at those buildings, it makes sense that they would be included as part of the Main Street District because they still have, some of those, I guess I'd say the architecture's still original to those buildings. I could be wrong, but just by, my research, it seems like it should zigzag and it doesn't. It just goes straight across.
Okay, so
South Main.
so the written description and the physical layout don't line up. with each
Sort of. Even the narrative, the text in the nomination doesn't get that specific. It basically highlights certain buildings, but not all the buildings. And it doesn't really give any sort of legal description. At least the copy I have, which I assume that's the same as what was submitted.
Well,
How's
maybe,
it compared to the zoning map? I mean, the drawings we had before that showed the downtown district and the boomtown, are those fairly accurate? And those are sort of like a Google map picture, I mean, of the actual buildings today.
The Boomtown also is really, really hard to follow, but it wasn't as glaringly different than what we saw in the nomination. It was this one that was. So basically the zoning map is by parcel. So really the nominations aren't by parcel.
I didn't bring this today.
I'm wondering if we just don't do a map, Heather. Just, if we can't do it accurately, or if we do a map, we need to say there's some discrepancies on the actual location.
Yeah, yep. I think we can do either or. And the state didn't make that comment, I don't think, so I don't want to say that
Okay.
we have to do a map. I started doing it because we did one for Boomtown.
Right, and I think that was a good idea. Why don't we discuss that in our signage
sounds good.
Subcommittee and see what the best route is. Okay, North Maple Street District. Again, we started a little discussion on this last week. We have the survey completed. I went through the ordinance to see what the correct route of approving a new district. And actually, I think we were supposed to have proposed this to the city council first. At least that's what our ordinance says. Maybe I should just read how this should work, and then we can discuss it a little bit. So, step one, recommendation to city council to establish a historic district, initiate with the commission. Okay, so we're gonna, maybe it's not it's worded like we should have done that first, but maybe that isn't the case. So that's letter A. Letter B, written survey. The commission will conduct a written survey by certified mail to all owners of property within a proposed historic district and include the results of the survey in its written recommendation to City Council. So we've done the survey and we have the results of that. We have not yet forwarded that to council. Letter C, and Heather, help me with that word there.
She just stepped out.
Or contiguity, I don't know how to say it.
Contiguous? Contiguous.
It's contiguous, but it's a,
Fluidity?
yeah.
Yeah, contiguous.
Anyway, we're going to say contiguous. Being contiguous in the districts, the commission will work in good faith to ensure that the boundaries of a proposed historic district are drawn so that all properties within the historic district are contiguous with one another, including across the street or alley. So that has not happened yet, and we need to figure out how we're going to do that. And then at that point, the commission makes a review and recommendation, which goes to City Council. I beg your pardon. Then there has to be a public hearing, which we need to plan. And then the notice of the hearing goes out. The commission shall notify owners in writing of the proposal to list their property on the local register. Notification of such hearing shall be published at least 10 days in advance of such hearing in a paper of general circulation in the city. Then it goes to city council. The commission decides if a designation is appropriate and makes a written recommendation. Such written recommendations will identify each contributing property and non-contributing property within the proposed district and note the designation criteria satisfied by each contributing property. At that point, the city council and the planning commission will do their review of the proposal, and then they will make a decision. So we need to do a couple things. One is to decide what is contributing and non-contributing. How do we do that?
This was within a district then, or proposed district?
Within the proposed district of North Maple.
I'm thinking like contributing goes back and meets the criteria of like as to, something being historic, the 50 years or architectural.
Right. There's 11 different procedures for identification review of 11 different points that can be considered. One is a 50-year-old building. Does it possess historic significance? Is it identified with a person or group of persons? Does it embody distinctive characteristics of an architectural type? Has it potential to yield important archaeological information? So there's no problem, I think, in using that list and coming up with at least two of the qualities.
It's like building by building within the proposed district. I think.
Right.
Let's go through building at a time and look it's contributing or not contributing.
And then we need to decide if they're contributing or non-contributing. So I would think maybe we can walk those streets together. We're not supposed to meet as a commission, so I think maybe two of us could do that. We certainly would want maybe Will and Heidi to be part of that to decide what might be contributing or not.
I guess some of it would be established by, even before walking would be like looking at the ages, like, because if that's one of the main criteria, that probably qualifies a lot of the,
I think it will qualify
Houses,
all of the homes.
I think that would be one layer, within that to get those established as contributing.
Right.
And then we could look at the ones that are questionable, that we don't know, to go look at some of the businesses on the north end,
Right.
some of those.
Like the Longs
Or like
clean.
the waterworks and Longs.
The waterworks,
Yeah.
Longs looks like it's old because it's kind of like that curved roof, like in the back, Quonset hut kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. And I don't know how old the waterworks building is, but even if it was the 60s, that's still 50 years.
Right. So it's historic. It may not look historic, but we need to make a decision about all of those buildings and if they're contributing or not, and if they're contiguous. I think we'll find that they are, at least most of them will be. The other problem that I've thought about is if there are non-contributing homes, buildings, structures, but we decide this will go forward as a historic district, are those non-contributing structures should they be following the same rules? In other words, are they allowed to build a porch on their home that doesn't,
Or demolish it or,
or tear it down, right?
yeah.
I don't think they should.
We don't exactly have that in the ordinance, so we'll need to make a decision about that. So I need your help.
Well, I don't see if don't fit in, if they're not non-conforming, I don't see what rationale we have for making them uphold the same rules as historic properties if they're not conforming.
If we decide they're non-conforming, so is there legal rules that can be used to make sure that they don't change their structure, or if they do, change it in a way that becomes more I don't see that in our ordinance. I don't see that
So I don't see how we
information.
can make it look historic when it's not, if it's not historic.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is even so they don't change the character of the district by doing something that would,
Right.
That's impinging on their rights as a property owner. They didn't buy it knowing that it was gonna be changed or held to a standard that they didn't buy into when they bought it. So I don't see how we could inflict that upon them.
yeah, I think you just have the district is made up of his
Yeah, public meetings law.
contributing. Because I was thinking one of the other maps we saw of one of the other towns, I can't remember the town, it had buildings in the district and it just had them designated and identified as which ones were contributing and which ones weren't. But I don't know that they had restrictions on the non-contributing ones.
I know when Boomtown was recognized as a historic area, there were certain homes that didn't meet that 50-year criteria. And so they stopped the map for North Maple and other places too, down Wooster Street and down Buttonwood. But that was 40 years ago. So things time-wise have changed a lot.
What's the reference in the code?
I'm sorry?
What's the reference number to look up in the code or the ordinance you're quoting from?
We're looking at 158.06. And that lists all, I mean, would you want me to read these?
No. I want
Okay.
to look it up later.
Okay.
So when we walk through it, have a copy and
Yeah.
know what
I
I'm looking
think,
for.
I think we can certainly move ahead with the, if maybe both of you or Christina and one of you could be, we're talking about the historic district of North, and we have to do I'm just looking for how it's written here.
Well, the answer, I believe, is right on 158.07 C3. And it says, the commission may relax the standards or guidelines that apply to a COA application for a non-contributing property. And, looking back, I think that discussion came up a lot because, and I think when Nathan Bevel was here, he said, this is a value of your whole neighborhood because you want to keep the non-contributing property from getting more non-contributing. Does that make sense? That sounded really funny. And then he said, too, it also applies if they were to demolish and rebuild, they would have to build to that, historical character. And actually, I just saw a listserv that was actually really interesting. They highlighted buildings that were built in historic neighborhoods and how they fit in. And it was kind of like a really cool, I thought, listserv to see all the pictures of how they fit those in. And some of them were demolished homes or they were just, lots between historic homes. So I think that's our answer. I think, right?
Okay, tell me that number again. I'm still looking for it, Heather, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
158,
you're good. 158.07,
07, okay.
C, under COA review criteria, and then number 3.
Okay. Of course, I can't find 07.
And then there's definitions of contributing and non-contributing at the front, too.
Okay. Okay. So that may answer that concern.
And it kind of goes a little bit further in 158.08A, additional standards and guidelines for reviewing CO applications. Properties, buildings especially, may have non-historic exterior features when they are listed. Such features may include things like downtown building awnings, asphalt shingles on roofs, aluminum or other sidings on exterior walls, non-brick chimneys, and non-wooden windows or doors. In all such cases, preservation of those features is allowed, including replacement of small sections of deteriorated awnings, roofs, walls, chimneys, windows, and doors with in-kind material, so long as it matches the whole in color, texture, and design. These kinds of preservation efforts do not require application to the commission for a COA.
Right. Okay, so first, I think we need to think about the boundaries of the proposed district, which we know they are both blocks of North Maple. Are they contiguous with one another? And are there properties that are non-contributing? We're trying to determine who's going to do this, Christina, from our commission.
I think to get you all started, I can use the map, I can put the address on each parcel. I can print pictures of each parcel, the building on the parcel. I can put the year on there, but I'm not an architect, so I can, at least maybe create that record so somebody walking around could take notes. Does that make sense? That would be a helpful tool maybe to get you started?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Because it just gets down to certain properties that are going to be questionable. I think it just gets down to certain properties that are, as to whether they're contributing, like up on the north end,
Right.
some of the businesses and.
Yeah, I think there's only, aren't there only 2 businesses on that north end?
The cities and at,
The
Well, it looks like the hairdressers on that.
probably up to the far, I didn't right here,
That's
these
true.
around.
Yeah, on the very corner.
Right now,
Yeah.
and even if it's old, like 50 years old, and it's not stylistically contributing, is it necessary to keep it?
Well, I think we need to decide that. And I mean, if Abraham Lincoln was born in one of those
Well,
places, then we have a reason. But if there's nothing historic about it, then I think it will be a non-contributing property.
I mean, because just thinking about what the hairdresser looks like, I mean, it doesn't look significantly interesting.
Plus the,
Architecturally interesting, but it could be old. But it's been so modified, especially interior and exterior. I don't know that it would.
No.
whether the property owner, building owner would want it to be designated as contributing if they could defend what it contributes.
Right. I mean, they may not want to be a contributing building, but we
For
could,
us, it's kind of up in the air as a contributing non, but
yeah.
they may say we want it to be contributing,
Or what if they say we don't want it to?
or if they don't,
contribute?
yeah.
Right.
Their preference probably don't.
Probably, because it puts more restrictions on what they can do with it.
But the city's building there, or the waterworks, whether there's any, other than the age, and whether there's any historic value of any of the sub-buildings within the property there. Because it looks like it's probably all been,
Well, and that little tail that sneaks out and touches Wallace. And I think there's a little tiny building on that, but I can't remember. Way
Oh, way
in the
down,
back
yeah,
of
the
it.
little line.
It's like a little cottage, one-story cottage kind of thing, but I can't tell if I'm looking at the map if it's actually there or not.
Okay, so,
But I mean, it's
Right.
it's a little lot, and it just feels like if they were the only people on that street, Wallace, that had to like change their stuff to preserve it. Nobody else around them had to. It's just a weird little layout, detail and stuff.
You know, this looks like the historic district boundary would stay the same, even though it has, say, non-contributing. In other words, not to go around them. In other words, they're in the district.
Yeah.
They're just non-contributing.
right, correct. And that's what we need to determine.
I think it's that house right here on the north by the old railroad right away. That's probably just these two buildings here then.
So, Will, could you and Heidi, would you be willing to do that?
You take a look at it.
With the help from Heather in making that little map for us? Okay, great. And then hopefully we can review what you recommend next meeting and then move forward with perhaps with a recommendation. Actually, what we'll have to do is schedule a public hearing. We've done that through our regular monthly meetings. Can we do that again, Heather, for the public hearing?
Yeah, that's normally how you would do it. That's how my other commissions or boards do it. We would schedule it the month before, because obviously you have to provide notification.
Right. So if we can have that information next meeting, we'll decide about the buildings, and then perhaps the month after that, we'll have our public hearing.
And then also I would just give some thought to which of the designation criteria would apply to the potential district, so 2 or more. And you could probably use some of the Boomtown nomination text, at least gives you something to
Yeah,
go off of.
right. Christina, one of the things that we were just talking about, I don't know if you came in and heard that discussion about the map for the Main Street.
Oh, for Main Street? No, I didn't hear that.
It doesn't match up. We have two different, or maybe there's more than two different maps that have been given to us or suggested with different addresses. I don't know if you have access to any information for downtown.
I don't.
We're trying to decide if we even should draw a map, not knowing what is correct at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can talk with Heather and try to see what was submitted. As far as what maps are,
We just have addresses that don't match up with one of the maps that was suggested. I guess it was from, you said 1980, right?
Right.
So we're trying to decide if we should just ignore and not do a map or put a map on the sign. We need to know soon if we're going to have it as part of the sign or not for some of the downtown areas.
oh, for the signage project?
Yeah. Was it going to go on the main street sign, that number 1 sign?
Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it with the committee and
Okay.
that'll be good.
We may need your help too on that, Christina. Okay, down the road.
Okay.
Perhaps not, but we'll see. Okay, so moving forward, the Friends of the HPC calendar for the historic buildings of the month, Wood County Museum, which I believe Jeff just did. Is that correct? Was Jeff the?
Actually, he just submitted St. Aloysius, and so
I'm sorry.
that is set to run for April.
Yes.
And you know what? I was gonna pass it around. Oh, I think I have it here. If you want to look at that,
Sure.
very interesting.
Yeah, I think you did a great
So it's
job.
good timing because it celebrates their laying of their 100th anniversary of laying the cornerstone of the church.
Thank you.
And
So
I
we
had-
do still need, oh, I'm sorry, August through December.
We have August through December now?
No, we need, sorry,
Ah.
August
Oh,
through
okay.
December.
Okay. If the golf course would be one of those, maybe we could do that for August. Is that agreeable? I can ask the golf course people to prepare something for us or give us, it would be Ron Gargas. September, we have no other nominations at this point, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. September, October. I think we're covered for the moment, but be thinking about the particular homes that we want to highlight. Do we have, I'm sorry, I have to keep asking you questions, Heather. Do we have an author for the Lynch House
Yep, those listed are all done.
and the Carter House is done?
Yep, all those are done.
And the Pearl House, Pearl Street, 331 is done?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay. I don't know, maybe Christina, maybe you could help with the golf course problem. I'm going to explain it to you after the meeting's over.
Okay.
We're going to need somebody to help spearhead that one. And Will and Heidi, you haven't written any yet, right? Okay. So be thinking about maybe something later in the year that we could. Oftentimes, the homeowners are going to give us the information we need, so it's not a real hard project, but
I could think about my house.
yeah, definitely.
Lots of stories.
I think you should absolutely nominate your house.
I told Matt we should submit something for the sign for the May month, History Month, but we just got to put
Yeah,
stuff together.
great. Okay, so that's in good shape. Public relations, past workshops. I don't have the list on that. So Heather, do you have that handy?
Yeah, so the monthly genealogy chat has been going on at the library. I'm not sure if anybody's attended those. Those continue each month. Wood County Museum, free first Fridays and Make It and Take It craft. The last one was March 1st. They also continue with the Education on the Road, Black Swamp Stories Part 3. That was on March 4th. As far as the future events for both the library and museum, is it okay if I just jump ahead? They have so many events that I ended up basically saying, see the website, and I just tried to pick some things that relate to more sort of local history. So for the library, again, the genealogy chats continue. I believe it's the first Wednesday of the month. I believe that's what that is. Local History Show and Tell is April 19th at the library. You have to register. Gossip, Gags, and Guidance, Wood County Social Pages, that's May 17th at the library from 2 to 3. And then their famous Boomtown Walking Tour is June 8th from 10 to 12, and you must register. I would recommend doing that very quickly, although I did notice they have a little more, something like a little more numbers for registration at 25. So that's always a good one to attend. Also, Finding Your Family Tree is June 14th from 2 to 3. And If These Walls Could Talk is July 22nd, 2 to 3 p.m. You have to register, and this should be an excellent session for someone wanting to research their property. So I would definitely highlight that for everybody's calendar, especially to help others write articles about their properties. That would be a great one to attend. And then the museum has so many events. Again, I could not put anything on here, everything on here. But they have an egg hunt that I thought was kind of neat because basically you find these eggs and you learn more history about the museum. So looks like a great project to learn, and it's free, and it's March 22nd through the 30th, and it's for any age. And then they have their demonstration day, April 6th, 9 to 2, Early Ohio on the Portage, and Lady Brandon Berry's Ball on May 5th. And again, there's the website for all of their events, because this does not include them all. And then we're into National Preservation Month before we know it.
Great, thank you. We were just talking before the meeting with Jamie about the posting of the agenda. Will and I did not open it within 24 hours. I don't know if you were.
Same.
Heidi too, I guess.
Yeah.
Heidi, the same? Yeah, how about you, Christina? Were you able to open it? So she's going to try to request that your IT people leave it up longer, because sometimes we don't look at our emails every day. We need a little more time to be able to access that.
Okay, another option is if anybody does want a paper copy, to let us know. We have boards and commissions where individuals still want a paper copy, which is fine. So
Yeah, that's
you
good.
can consider that, because I think our agendas are going to get even meatier as you continue to designate properties and have COA applications and all that. So just something to consider in the future if that's helpful.
So a paper copy, we'd have to come and pick up here, though, right?
We normally mail them.
Oh,
That'd be my preference.
you want a paper copy? Heidi?
I
Can't decide.
I don't know.
How about you, Christina?
I usually pick one up because you print them right up here sometimes,
Oh,
the
okay,
agendas.
okay. Fine.
I'm happy to open it if I remember to do it.
Right.
If I don't, I'll call you.
It's fine.
Isn't the Brandon Berry's Ball on the 4th Saturday? Not Sunday. I'm trying to look it up on the website, but
I don't know, could be.
it doesn't
Is
matter.
it
I can't find it. Yeah,
what you're looking for?
the Brandon Berry Ball, Lady Brandon
Oh.
Berry Ball. It's okay. We'll look it up
On May 5th.
later.
May 5th is a Sunday. You thought it was a Saturday?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll check that out. Okay,
The 3rd.
we are at
May 5th.
near the end of our meeting here.
What's the America 250?
You're asking Heather?
No, on the item, America 250?
Yeah, what is that?
The
America?
last line.
Oh, I want to
D.
go back to National Preservation Month if you're ready. I didn't know if you were. So we still have our yard sign campaign, and we've only had one new building sign up or new home. And so we have our core group from last year for the most part, but I would just really encourage to get the word out there, because I was personally hoping we'd have a lot of new property sign up, and we haven't. So it is what it is, but keep talking to neighbors and see if we can get some more. And I think people need to know too, it's not just for houses, it's for any historic building. And I'm actually trying to add more city buildings. Those are some of the new ones I've added. I've added some of them based on our signage project. So I added this building where we're at now, 304, the old building on North Church. I'm adding Wooster Green in regards to the school that was there. And I'm adding Ridge Park to talk about Ridge Elementary. So I'm trying to do what I can from my end for the city buildings, but otherwise I would just encourage you to keep promoting it, because like I said, we want to make it bigger and better every year.
Great. What about university buildings? Are they applicable as well?
I don't know, John, I'll nominate you for that one,
I'll check it out.
if you want to check it out. And the deadline is April 12th, I believe.
Okay.
Sign up online, and it's very, very easy.
Okay, any other business, we have lobby visitation. Dick, do you have anything to share? Okay. Then with that, I think we're ready for adjournment. Anybody want to make a motion?
A motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I
Okay. Thank you.
think what we could do is